First off, I just want to explain why I felt like I had to make the last video. None of you needed to know. Nobody asked. The motivation for the video isn't to trauma dump, it isn't to beg for sympathy or whatever. Though I do appreciate the support from every comment that y'all wrote. Is to have something that I can use to defend my channel if it ever gets discovered by my dad. I'm still running this channel secretly for the almost 2 years it has existed. But I did a risk assessment and I thought that, well, I couldn't keep it a secret forever. That's quite unlikely. Before I got my school Chromebook, when I still had all those ungodly rules that I had to follow, I used to save up lunch money to buy a laptop or phone myself, and I did that like 5 times. And I couldn't keep those a secret. They're literally hardware that I have to physically hide. Whereas for a YouTube channel or my video editing project, if anything happens, I can literally just tab out. But even if it's easier, it's not infallible. I'll try my best to keep it running status quo, but I'm saying that's unlikely to last forever. And in the off chance that he does find this channel somehow, maybe I'm careless or my sister's watching my videos or she's careless, I don't know. I made a pact with her saying she can only watch my videos immediately after school when both my parents are working. But in the off chance that he does find this channel, somehow, I would want to minimize the amount of effort I have to spend arguing on the spot. So here's a vision. I will just show him this video and maybe he will be more likely to shut up or at least stop arguing and talk properly. I didn't want to drag any of my viewers into this. Mental burdens such as this aren't meant to be shouted out into the open just like that. These are things that normal people only share with their close friend or therapist. Some people do actually start discussing life problems if it gets in the way of their ability to produce videos. It's clearly not an easy thing to do, but it's hard to come up with a better way to protect this channel than to expose all the problems behind it. I have a short upload schedule because I have barely any time. I try to keep it at least once every 2 weeks, but it's unpredictable. I have a job, so I have barely any time on weekdays, and then on weekends, 80% of the work I put into videos are done at night. Like, I would stay up until like 5 just to plate floor or make videos. I tactically rearrange my sleep schedule so I can spend as much time alone as possible. And I don't mind, I like making videos, it's a positive experience, but it's unfortunate that this is how I have to deal with it. When I'm not video editing, then I can play floor. So finally, to answer the question of how much floor do I grind daily, at least for when I was studying, how do I balance studying with floor and YouTubing? Um, Now I'll tell you. Back in school, right? I would stay in school for as long as possible before going home so I can grind floor because at home I couldn't do much. I had a camera pointed at my desk 24/7. That's why a few of my older videos had the screen chopped in half. Like I could use my head to block my screen, but only half of it. It's also why for my video editor's UI layout, I keep the video preview at the bottom left because that's the half of the screen that I blocked. That camera has already silently fallen out of use since like near the end of high school, but it's residue like this that keep coming back to remind me how fucked up my story is. And I would stay after school to grind, and the music track that I would have playing the most often is this one. To that one guy who commented that my singing voice is ass, number one, you're absolutely right. I only had one afternoon to rush recordings when No one was home to hear me sing those insanely scary lyrics, and my mic kept tripping, so it kept changing its input volume on its own. I wanted to minimize the amount of time that video had to stay in production because it's been hurting my mind for a month already, even just as an idea of a video. And hypothetically, the next time I could spend doing proper recordings is the last day of this month. So I wanted to get it out of my mind ASAP. But now that I'm trying to figure out everything that's wrong with me, I'm probably hurting even more now. In any case, number 2, what you said was extremely fucking insensitive anyway. Since you wanted something else to listen to, here you fucking go, I guess. I am truly disgusted that I have a subscriber like you. You know who you are. Also, if you think I could bargain with him to please be less strict, don't you think I would have done that already in the fucking 6 years of middle/high school? Think about it. So anyway, I would stay after school to grind, right? And also sometimes when the class topic does not seem that important, I would game in class also. That's only if for that subject I've already secured like the best possible grade. So don't do this if you're struggling. But if I need to pay attention, like I will, I'm just saying. So maybe like 3 to 6 hours when I'm in school, plus like 1 or 2 hours at night at home. This was the peak during like the bi-weekly craft series when I massed like 300 super attempts in 2 months and got 6 supers out of that, one of which made floor history by being the first of its kind to be crafted as a super. This one is this one right here. I like flexing it, shush. The amount of time I spent editing around that time averages out to be like around half an hour per day. So basically how I managed my time was if I needed to study and it would result in a meaningful grade improvement, I will, but otherwise I would take out time to play floor and video edit. And it's literally common sense, right? You're studying, your job is to study, you make sure that you do a good job, and then, well, the rest of the time you can just have for free, do whatever you want, right? Right? I will later explain that that is easier said than done. And then exams came and my activity dropped to like 2 hours max per day, usually half of that. My problem with this is that during this period, half of the time I spent studying is actually a complete fucking waste of time. Like, we had to buy these books for school, right? These books had like the past 10 years of official national exam papers. And then in class we would pick some to do as mock paper or like as homework. But my dad made me do literally every single paper anyway because he's a tryhard, even though I've literally already secured the best possible grade for most of those subjects, as I said before. And then even after the exams, right, I still couldn't completely relax because immediately he made me start preparing for university applications, even though they don't even open for another 2 months. So the time I spent on floor basically rose back up to how it was in high school. But then during that time, my RNG was ass. I crafted 2 coins, a poo, and a relic, and that's about it. After that, I had to go to army. I had basically no more grinding time. From last February when I entered until this month, so basically a year, I couldn't bring my Chromebook to work, so I could only AFK farm on my phone, which was laggy, but okay, what else could I do with it? I had to progress, right? So I would AFK Fire and Hell, and that's how I managed to pull off the Bone Oracle. In the Fire and Hell Oracle trailer, at the end, you see all those screenshots flashing by. Half of them were screenshots I took from my phone, and I did it because I thought it would look cool in the video, and it did. Yay. For most of those days, I only AFK'd for the duration of my bonus, occasionally a bit longer, like 3 hours tops. But then things got even busier, and I had no time to even AFK farm anymore because, well, you had to look out for AFK checks and you had to make sure you survive and whatnot, right? But then updates came to floor and AFK farming wasn't even an option anymore. I mean, I still had my weekends, but then I was spending more and more time on video editing because I'm passionate. Oh wow, that's a crazy thing to say. More on that later. But I enjoyed video editing and wanted to do some crazier things. So I haven't really spent that much time playing floor. The amount of time I can grind is questionable at best and completely non-existent at worst. This is why I am really grateful that I am one of the most RNG carried players in the entire game. If it were less than that, I would probably have fallen off by now. So now I'll get into the problems I surfaced in the video. My dad is extremely strict, never cares about my feelings, almost never cares about my opinions, and does whatever he wants. My dad came from a very broke family in China, and in China, the academic competition is so intense that schools are basically worse than prison. So it would be crazy to relax even just a little. But now we've moved to Singapore, where he's the crazy one. If you play back the intro slowly, you can see all of those ridiculous rules I had before. He has such a problem with gaming that if he has a problem with me, he'll blame gaming. That's just how it works. And it doesn't have to make logical sense, he'll just do it. And it isn't just a, your computer screen causes myopia kind of argument, which literally isn't true by the way. The actual major reason for myopia or short-sightedness is your eye's lack of exposure to light in general. But it gets worse than that. Let's say I forget something. Then he'll say, well, you can't remember because your brain's already filled with gaming. But if I try to argue that I was in a no thoughts head empty state, then he'll say, "Say, you're so addicted to gaming that you can't think about anything else, you useless fuck." Now imagine dealing with that kind of stubbornness, but in Chinese, sprinkle in some Chinese insults that are pointless and don't contribute anything to the argument which is in itself pointless also. This is what I had to deal with on a daily basis. And these rules are also just absurd. I don't officially have a curfew, but if I'm not home when he expects me to be home, he'll assume that I'm outside gaming with friends. He literally used this unspoken rule to forfeit my 14th birthday cake, even though I said I was in the library and actually had library books to show for it. And while I technically did actually spend half of that afternoon gaming with friends, my birthday is at the end of the year. I had no holiday homework, and my new school books for the next year had not arrived yet, so I literally had nothing better to do. There was one time he searched my phone and found that I was complaining about my parent issue to my friend, and he scolded me for bad mouthing him and ruining his reputation, and made me block that guy forever. I just changed his name in my contacts list to Fred, and then when he found it again, I changed it to George. Yes, I read Harry Potter, but before he decided that reading novels was a complete waste of time when I could be studying. What's privacy? I wonder what that is. After I left primary school and after I left secondary school, he would say to me that my relationship with those classmates are over and I had no business contacting them anymore. Now he wonders why I don't talk to my junior college class. Do you see where I'm going with this? He keeps telling me I need to improve my emotional quotient when he's actively destroying it. That's literally just saying stop hitting yourself. If he finds me oversleeping or whatever, sleeping past the point he thinks I should be sleeping, one of these three things could happen. He could make an unfounded assumption that I was gaming at night, which isn't necessarily what I'm doing at night, and then he'll scold me for it. He could make the wrong assumption that I'm just lazy and scold me for it, or he could make the assumption that's the most accurate, that I'm mentally ill, but he says it with the same angry voice that he usually says things with, so it makes it sound like he still carries a stigma against mental illness. And he makes it sound like it's my fault. He's just not a caring person. 30 minutes is for doing literally anything, by the way. Usually it was 1 hour, but there was a significant period of time when it was 30 minutes. And I already had no games on my phone and no YouTube, and he blocked the App Store. And I really wanted to watch YouTube anyway, so I started figuring out all kinds of ways to get YouTube on my phone. I tried sending links to myself on WhatsApp until those stopped working and got blocked. Then what I would do is download videos using third-party websites, and then because WhatsApp has a file size limit, I would trim those videos and compress those trimmings in order to fit them onto WhatsApp and then download them onto my phone from there. Before the school made us get Chromebooks, I didn't have my own laptop, so I had to borrow the home laptop. And the home laptop had screen time for my account on it also. So I will put a YouTube video onto OneNote, and then after the screen time screen is already blocking the entire screen, I would alt tab onto OneNote and then have that video playing, and then continue holding alt tab in order to use the alt tab preview to watch that video. But then one fine day, my mom had to log into the home laptop while she was having a phone call, so she was using one hand to type, and I just saw the password clear as day, so I just started using that instead. After that, my mom got a job as a teacher, so she had to use the home computer for herself, so I had to use my dad's work computer, and I had Roblox installed on that for a while until my dad got a security check and said that I can't keep doing this or he might get demoted. So instead, I installed Growtopia on a thumb drive that I could plug into it. But I didn't need to have a quote-unquote valid reason in order to start using the computer, but the COVID lockdown period made that a whole lot easier, so it's all good. But now I have a school Chromebook, which is technically my own computer, so I don't have a very valid reason to use their computers anymore. Though at the start it was still under his management, so I still had to ask for his permission to use my own Chromebook. He mentioned before that he supports or quote unquote supports gaming in moderation. Me when I lie. Now, in moderation means you still have to do your best at school, right? But his idea of do your best at school means okay, there are two conditions. Either you literally have the best grades already, then you can game and do whatever since well you've already gotten the best grades. Okay? Or the second condition is if you don't have the best grades, then you should be able to demonstrate that you've given it your all. Now the problem with that phrasing is that if I get caught gaming, then I haven't given it my all. That's not even in moderation anymore. That's literally just called be the best in school or else you don't have time to slack off. Period. Me when I lie. And he said if I quote unquote did my best at school, then he would be perfectly fine with me. But then I quote unquote have not done my best in school. So therefore he will never forgive me for that. Even though eventually I got the almost the best possible score for the uni entrance exams anyway, which is the only exam that actually matters in the long run, by the way. In fact, I think my schools make their papers harder than the national exam papers on purpose. He doesn't know that, and he's blaming me for not having ideal grades in school. Actually, he has a problem with never forgiving me in general. Like, whenever I make a mistake, or whenever he thinks I made a mistake, he will keep bringing it up again and again as if I never grow up from it. And what makes it worse is that it rubbed off on me. So now I can't even forgive myself for my own mistakes. Or just whenever I feel like I got into a bad situation because of my fault. You know those words that people say when they're trying to be polite? They don't mean anything to me. They don't mean anything because I never received them at home, so I'm not used to them. But these ones, especially because it's impossible for me to be apologetic. The best I can do is recognize that the situation's very bad. Let's say I'm borrowing a power bank from you and I just lost it. My feelings would be pretty complicated. While it would be pretty clear to me that I just messed up badly, it's impossible for me to feel sorry about it, but I would still feel sad, and I will continue feeling sad even after you helped me find the power bank and I've returned it to you. Like, I'll just feel sad that I wasted a bit of your time. Is that what being sorry means? But the connection between that feeling and the words I am sorry is just completely fried. It's hard for me to show courtesy when I had barely received any as a kid and I don't know how it works. I literally just took 5 minutes to remember that the word courtesy exists. My father does not care about me as a human being with my own thoughts and feelings, my own needs and wants. He mostly only cares about how much I score for my academics and how much I'll earn in my future job. And he will take whatever disciplinary measures he thinks it takes to get me there. I'm not saying he literally doesn't care about anything else, but that is basically it. There was one time he mentioned the following as a talking point, that he still has to physically care for me since he is my legal parent, but if we have to stoop that low, something is seriously wrong between us. And I said it's hard for me to forgive myself, but it's also hard for me to accept when other people forgive me also. When you tell me it's okay, when I don't think things are okay, I'll just ignore you. When things are getting cooked and you tell me I can just do better next time, that won't help the current situation where I'm already cooked. And when people try to activate empathy, I shut them out because I don't think they'll ever understand. I overthink what people tell me, and I overthink what I try to tell them because my confidence when in a live social setting is rock bottom. I overthink because I lack experience talking, so my only reference point for what to come up with is how other people I imagine would talk in this situation. But even after all that overthinking, I sometimes still manage to say or do very inappropriate things sometimes. Hold on, this is exactly how large language models work. They don't know anything, and all they're doing is approximating the right things to say. What the heck? If there is even one awkward moment in a conversation, let's say they couldn't hear me or I couldn't hear them, or they misunderstood me, I misunderstood them, I would immediately start crashing out. And then if there are two awkward moments, the conversation is over. Because then I would be stuck in an endless loop of figuring out how to recover from that, and then realizing that I'm wasting the other person's time, and then having to come up with how to apologize for that, and then wasting even more time. I have absolutely no idea how to talk casually, because how you talk in a casual context depends a lot on who you are, and I don't know who I am. You know how different people have different patterns on how they chat or text? Like maybe they like saying this particular phrase a lot, or their sentence structure is usually that way. I think mine changes unusually quickly, probably because I don't feel like anything sticks. In the process of studying or mugging so hard, I threw most of it away. I literally used to think I had no interests or hobbies until my friends came to me and said, well, I played this IO game a lot, right? I can cite this as my hobby. But I still hesitate when people ask me the same question now. It's hard for people to chat with me about random stuff because I have barely anything to give back compared to basically everyone else. I played less, went out less, watched less TV, did less sports, did less anything really. Remember how I said that the hardest question for me to answer is say something interesting about yourself because I don't know what's interesting to myself. The second hardest question for me to answer is are you okay? Because I'm never mentally okay. I have all of these social problems. Whenever I hear this question, I go existential crisis mode. I also don't know how to watch my tone when speaking, and it's hard for me to take hints or get jokes. I also have a huge problem when I'm trying to focus on a task because while I can focus, if I have to be distracted for even 2 seconds, all of the running memory that I have will collapse instantly. This is another consequence of in the past having to game secretly and now having to video edit secretly. Cause I have to be on high alert all the time. If he approaches me, I have to abort at once. So now my brain is really good at changing to a new task, but at the same time, abandoning the old task very fast. This also ties in to my earlier point about conversation because I need time to figure out what I want to say, and if people rush me, that's an interruption and I'll panic. Most of you will never notice this because videos are edited, right? Duh. And if you text me and I can't immediately think of what to say, I can just not type. But you can't do that in a live conversation. You can't just stop speaking. In the last national exam, which is called the GCE A levels, you can search it up. It's provided by Cambridge University. I got A for everything except this one subject called project work. It used to be graded, now it's not anymore. You have to work on a societal problem with 3 other classmates, and then there's one part where you have to give an oral presentation, and I'm bad at that. For the reasons I covered earlier, like never being sure of what I want to say, being awkward. Project work was easy enough such that most people in my school could get A's. I got a B. I wonder why. A dent in my otherwise perfect grades that I can't just fix by studying harder. These problems are extremely bad for me now because I work in the army and it is a requirement to talk. And when everyone else is normal and I'm not normal, it's hard to fit in and it's hard for me to do my job. And this is also the main reason why I haven't ever made a video with like me yapping over live gameplay. Because I end up saying a lot of cringe stuff and then I'll go, well, I'll just silence it and make a cool edit out of it. Or I end up postponing it indefinitely. If I didn't tell you this, you probably never know because so far, for any video with my voice in it, those recordings are fragmented into 100 pieces, and any piece could just be re recorded whenever. And because it's fragmented, I don't need to follow a script. I can just say what I feel is okay to say, and then if it doesn't work, I'll just re record it. And if they don't connect logically, I can just change the numbers in the file name. But now, I have a YouTube channel with almost 700 people paying close attention to it and interacts with thousands upon thousands more people. I believe this is one of the fastest ways for me to relearn social skills. It gives me experience interacting with all kinds of people in all kinds of ways, like presenting a video with text only, presenting a video with my voice in it, chatting with you through YouTube comments, through Discord, text channels, voice channels. And if this channel ever gets leaked to my dad somehow and he has a problem with it, I'll just say, hey, you're not allowed to complain until after you watch these two videos. It's also helpful to myself to have these life problems consolidated somewhere, but I am not going to actively go and confront him over this because like I said, he hates gaming, and if I just go and mention this to him, he's just not gonna have it. And this is also the main reason why I can't get my old laptop replaced, this freaking Chromebook. Chromebook with its stupid Chrome OS, this stupid Intel Celeron CPU, stupidly low amount of storage, and has a chance to crash when I press Alt plus Tab. I'm not really studying right now, and well, I can't say I want a new laptop for gaming. That's not smart. He told me before that I can get a new laptop for university, but not now because planned obsolescence. Which is like valid, but I'm salty about it clearly. I don't want to spend another hour with this Chromebook if I can avoid it. But university is still nearly 1.5 years away from now, so all I can do now is sulk and occasionally sneak in complaints about Chromebook. That's another year of crashing out over Intel Celeron CPU for me and PowerPoint slideshow videos for you. Wonderful. That's about it for this series of videos. That's the most introspective stuff I have ever made in my entire life. If you actually watch the whole thing, you are a certified maniac. Why are you here? Like, don't you have anything better to do, like farming floral ocean biome? I don't know. Seriously though, thank you for sticking by. By the way, I could have released this video 3 hours earlier if it wasn't for this bug that I found when I was trying to loop the background. It's supposed to be a 25-second loop, which is 1500 frames at 60 FPS, but it is 1499 frames. Normal videos should start appearing within a week, and I'll see you there. Bye now. Man, I do these outros different every single time. I can't figure out what's right for me.